How many times do you hear people say, I don't care about the money, I just want to be happy. I just want a job that has me happy. Well, guess what? When we're thinking about the frequency and the emotional investment, happiness is only one stage above content.
Hey, what's going down? What's going down? Welcome to another episode of the Connection Sub podcast. We're bringing on a guest who's going to teach you a tip or a trick that's going to show you how to grow your business. So I'm not going to scale the guest's thunder at all, but we got our boy Armand on for this episode. So Armand, tell the guests who you are and what it is that you do.
What's going on, everyone? It's Armand Cheeks, aka Armand the Manifestor. I'm the founder of Sigma Solution Marketing and Consulting Services. I'm a self-published author, VP of a vice nonprofit, and a couple other projects as well. You know, my overall goal as in life is to be a community engineer and use my skills and talents in digital marketing to help as many businesses and individuals as possible. I think that as long as we as individuals understand the skills of, marketing, sales, networking, and most importantly, just how we manifest things in our own lives, we can live a really fulfilling life. So I'm super excited to be here. It's going to be a high energy episode. So anyone that's here, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching a replay, whether you're watching this at any time, like just be ready for some good energy. You can always come back to this video anytime. I know some good gems are going to be dropped, and we're going to vibe together. So I appreciate being here.
No, man, I'm super excited. Thanks for that was a jam-packed a lot. So thanks for that. But you mentioned something that really caught me already, the manifestor. You said, so what do you mean by the manifestor? Who's the manifestor? Tell me more about that.
So it's kind of like an identity that I took on in 2020 as I was writing my ebook. It made me realize as I was writing my ebook, and my ebook is called Recession Proof Manifestor: How to Combine Your Skills with Actionable Steps to Manifest Side Income. Now, it may sound like a mouthful, but the truth of the matter is, as individuals, we all have been born with so many different talents, skills, and through life, we've had so many different experiences. And in reality, it's these experiences and our mindset behind how we handle them and how we want to, deal with future experiences is what allows us to manifest things into our life. And in reality, every experience, whether it be perceived good or perceived bad, is an experience that, we have manifested. So if we can get to the bottom of why that may have been the case, just through our emotional knowledge, intelligence, through, personal development, through just looking at things around us, we can really see how we can take control of our life, and anything that we want, we can make it happen.
Bars. No, that's fire. That's fire. Take control of your life. That's fire. So you said the name of it is, give me the name one more time.
So the simple name to call it would be Recession Proof Manifestor.
But the long name had my question in it, which was, you said you're gonna help me use my side hustles to make income.
Yeah, exactly. How to combine your skills with actionable steps to manifest side income. That is the whole title. So when we think about like what the title means, it's like my only goal, so the reason why I came up with that title is because as I was writing the book, and I'm having conversations with a lot of my friends during 2020 and hearing how they've been laid off or working from home or just didn't feel fulfilled by just working, and just how everything made them feel. And it's like these people were working jobs that they weren't happy about prior to the pandemic. And then when the pandemic came, it only exacerbated the fact that they weren't happy. Right. And and I'm like, it's okay to in the moment not be happy, but in the same respect is understanding that we have so many skills and talents within us, where if we were just to use that and to monetize that, in the long run, we can make a lot more money than we would by staying at a job that we're unhappy with, no matter how much they pay us.
No, for sure. And it's funny you say that. I was just having a conversation literally with somebody earlier today, and he's very well off, successful guy already. So who am I? I'm successful, maybe not as monetary successful as him. So I listened to his input, but I didn't agree with it. And this is I'm starting to get in this habit of, no matter who you are, how much money you got, or what you have, if I don't agree with it, I just don't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? But his thing was, and you can touch on this as well. He was like, well, Ja, because my whole thing is I want to have a co-working space. I do events. My thing, I want to have a co-working space and multiple co-working spaces. Common Desk has opened my eyes to several things. But he was like, oh, why don't you focus on building out, this marketing agency and getting all these people on your team and all these things? And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. But ultimately, I know myself, and that's not what I want to do. And his whole thing was like, well, I really didn't care. And he's way older, about 70. He was like, well, I really didn't care what I did as long as I was sitting on the front of the plane. He was like, I did all the other stuff that I want to do after. So his thing was like, well, do what you necessarily might not like to do or don't want to do, or kind of how you saying, live that unfulfilled life. But I was more focused on, the cheddar, the money. So what would you tell somebody that maybe had that mindset where it's like, I've made it to a certain point where I might be sitting on the front of the plane, or I might be able to eat out or do the things that I want to do, but I'm not fulfilled? What would be something you would tell that person?
So it's crazy. Like last night, like this whole week has been like a really great week. And last night was a really good night full of conversation. And to preface what I'm going to answer what you said, but a conversation I had last night was actually me looking up the definition of conversation, right? And just to because I'm a linguist is the main reason why I even use the word manifestor consciously and manifest in my title, and I'll get to that later. But the definition of conversation is a talk, especially an informal one, between two or more people in which news and ideas are exchanged. And when you put it that way, many times where we talk, like it's not a conversation, you know what I mean? Because were they giving you any notable news that can help you? Were they giving you any ideas that can get you to that next level? Right. And when I think about like where we're at, it's like, there's always like a higher and a lower frequency of everything. I almost say anything can be like an investment. So we have to invest in our emotional vibration as much as we invest in anything else. Right. And the crazy thing is I have this book, and I wish I had it in me, but I left it at my partner's house. But pretty much it's funny because in the book it talked about, like, I always talk about how that with the higher frequency, it's like for people to even come in contact with one another, they have to be at the same frequency.
I think I've heard you touch on this on the live. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
throughout the game.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna tie it into exactly what you asked me. I got you, right? You're gonna be like, how is he tying this back? But I promise you, I got you this, right? Okay. So for us to operate like, we have to come at the same frequency. So right now, for us being on this call, we're at the same frequency, but depending on who's talking, the flow of the conversation, each individual's mood, it goes up and down throughout the manner of the conversation, but also just in terms of like even after being in conversation with someone. If you have a low vibration conversation with someone, guess what? It's gonna your vibration is probably gonna be lower than what it started with when you came into contact with them. So it's like you're trending down. Right. So you hear people talk all the time about like, I don't care about the money. I just want to be happy, right? I just want to be happy, right? But guess what? When we think about everything, if energy flows, right? Energy could be like a sinus. So again, I study electrical engineering, and like they're like, how did the engineering become a marketer? I was like, because everything is connected. But like, if we would look at energy as being like a sinusoidal wave, we have a top and we have a bottom. The bottom is going to be below the plane, you know what I mean? So it's going to be like technically negative energy, right? So we're essentially saying that like at any given moment, we're either emotionally investing for a higher frequency or emotionally investing for a lower frequency. Right. So if you were to Google right now, emotional vibration chart, you would see that every emotion that we have, from happy, sad, optimistic, all these things correlate with a different frequency. Well, guess what? How many times do you hear people say, I don't care about the money, I just want to be happy. I just want a job that has me happy. Well, guess what? When we're thinking about the frequency and the emotional investment, happiness is only one stage above content.
Ooh, that's fire.
So when people say they want to be happy, they're asking for the bare minimum.
Right.
How are you going to unleash all your gifts when you're just asking to be happy? That's the bare minimum. We need more than happy. Did you know that in terms of emotional vibration, like energetically, if you were to look it up, or even just in terms of think about it as investing, feeling passionate about something is better than being happy.
You can
But
even,
guess what's
that's the thing, you can even feel it though. You can feel when you're passionate about something and when you're happy about something. It might sound the same. People might use the words interchangeably, but they're totally two completely different feelings. When I'm passionate about something versus when I'm just happy about it,
100%?
it's totally two different investments in that. And I like for you to, if you got it, it'll be great. But what are the other levels? So it's happiness, and then like what are the levels?
So it's crazy because like I love when you have a conversation with someone like either the day before or earlier in the week or even just from a book, and like you have to have another conversation to kind of show like your knowledge and test it again. So when we're thinking about it, everything from like worry to guilt to fear to unworthiness to pessimism, all those things would be negative emotional investments. So it means technically you're taking a loss on your emotional energy. You know what I mean? So then when we think about contentment, contentment is the baseline. That is what brings us back to equilibrium. So like I said, so one stage above contentment is happiness. Two investments above contentment is passion. Now, after passion, we have optimism. After optimism, we have enthusiasm. But then that's just one plane. We get onto a whole nother plane where now it's what do they have? What was it? Love. It was appreciation was the next one. Appreciation was the next one. And appreciation resonated with me because it was like, how many times do you hear people in your family and your life that surround you when you're doing your thing, when you're doing your little business, as they say, right? When you're doing your little, because everyone thinks you're doing your little business until you show up with that big business money, right? Let's be real. Everyone thinks you're rolling with the little bit until you show up with the big business money, and they're like, "Oh, Jha, how you do that?" Like, I've been doing my podcast for 4 years. I haven't taken a day off. Like, that's how I'm driving this big body Bentley, right? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. No, facts.
So
Mercedes.
So I say, but right, Mercedes, exactly. So I say that to say that we get all this time. People give us appreciation. They say they're proud of us, but it not until after a little bit does that like outward appreciation become internal. Because until we appreciate the things that we've done ourselves, our individual successes, no matter how big, how small, how minuscule, until we appreciate it, we can't even get to that next level. And I realized this because, and the crazy thing is, like, I had this conversation with my girlfriend yesterday, and we were talking about. I was like, yeah, I'm the VP of this STEM nonprofit, and I'm a managing partner with this tech firm, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just talking about nonchalantly, and she's like, that's exactly like, that's why you're not manifesting the next level, because it's like the next level is appreciation for yourself in every situation that you're in, for the right now, for the everything. And guess what? After you appreciate the where you are right now, wherever it is, because again, everything is subjective. After you appreciate that, then you get into the next stage, which is love and freedom. Now, check this out. I want to let you know that when it comes to the love and the freedom portion of things, it's like, it's not just financial freedom. Everyone wants financial freedom, but it's like, that's not the only aspect of freedom that we want. We want the health freedom. We want the spiritual freedom. We want the sexual freedom. We want the mental freedom. We want every aspect of freedom that we can have. But the financial aspect is a big piece because it does allow us to stabilize any other structure, like if it's a monetary based problem. Like a lot of relationships fall apart because of money, but if you appreciate the person that you're with and you're in total love with them, and you're going from a place of, I want to achieve a point of freedom with this person, then like that relationship is going to push you to that next level of being able to achieve that freedom through the relationship. Now check this out. The last one at the very top is bliss. And when we think about it, we hear the word happiness, we hear the word bliss, and sometimes we're mistaken and thinking bliss is the same thing. But that's what, the most powerful thing about having like the internet is you could just Google things at any time. So I'm gonna Google the definition of bliss right now, and we'll learn this together. Let's see what the definition of bliss is, and see why they're saying that that is the highest frequency that we could be at.
And it's funny, why you check that out, because bliss again is can be a synonym or used as a synonym for things like happy, appreciation, and other sorts. But you could look that up and let's figure that out. But do you feel like someone needs, or because a lot of these words are used in replacement for one another sometime, do you think that we need all of these to really feel and be successful? Or is it like we can pull from each one in certain situations?
So I 100% believe that we can, like, just like investment, like just like once you get into, like, you went to Invest Fest, so I can, you and you more hip to investing than me. So thinking about emotional vibration in terms of investment, like you're
Right.
gonna enjoy this because, like, again, like, you know more about investing than me. But like think about it like this, like the base point, the singular, like one token, like you're getting your money back is if you are content.
Hmm.
By contentment, like regardless, if you, let's say you had a shitty day and you were feeling depressed, unworthy, or whatever, it may be difficult for you to go from a state of unworthiness to go directly to bliss.
Right.
It may be damn near impossible. It may even be hard for me to go from unworthiness to instant appreciation. I
Right.
don't think we should ever do that. You know what I mean? That's like saying I want to go from making $1,000 to making $1,000,000 in a month. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? If you don't even have the skills down set to do the one, you can't do the other.
Right.
So definitely taking that contentment and like using that as a base point of like, as long as if I can accept what my unworthiness feeling is and address it and try to do some action steps and move my energy around, I can eventually get to a state of contentment. But then I can, at the bare minimum, we can invest a token of happiness a day
Right.
for whatever that means, right? But then it's like, once you start to master it, as you gradually increase, like, okay, I can, after I've mastered happiness, of course I can talk about things that I'm passionate about. That's why I can, I can talk about manifestation, marketing, tech, I can engineering, and how everything is combined because I'm passionate about it and enthusiastic about it because I'm appreciative for the fucking experience and the journey that I had to go through to even learn this and to make it seem like, comparable for someone to understand. So to answer your question, like I 100% believe that, at any given moment after you've went through each stage and have identified those feelings and a time in your life where you felt it, because, they say that, at the end of the day, all energy and like manifestation really comes down to is, thought marrying with your emotion. A lot of
Right.
times we have the thought, but we don't know what the emotional feeling of achieving that thing is like. So it's like, I want to be a millionaire by 27, right? But have I emotionally felt like what that feels like? You know what I mean? Have
Do
I
you think that
emotionally,
that tie in with the whole? Because I know you're into personal development and listening to different people. The whole like go get it before you have it. Like, oh, I want a Mercedes, so let me go to the Mercedes lot, or let me rent a Mercedes for a weekend, or let me go look at the houses that I want. Do you think that
literally,
ties into that emotion and kind of gets the blood flowing?
literally, that's because like there are certain activities that we can do to stimulate our brain. Like everything is like a so it's from studying like electrical engineering, I've learned about artificial neural networks, which is like everything that exists in the computer and technology is actually meant to replicate the wonders of what the universe put into us as people, right? So when we think about that, it's like, I truly understand that like we can control like the thoughts that get us to that point, and
Right.
we can marry with the emotions to help get us to that point. So if riding in the car and test driving the car or having it on your screen or having it, or there's so many instances of people that have seen it work for them that like I can't even tell you that it doesn't work for me. That I can tell you that I'm trying and I'm continuously doing it. Like my last birthday, I went on a test drive for a Tesla. So very soon, I know that that's going to be something that I have, and the crazy part is like I can be frustrated that it didn't happen sooner from when I got it, but the way that this motherfucker is investing in his company and continuously improving it, by the time that I get it, I'll have the best version of it rather than a second class version of it. And
Right.
what you said earlier resonated with me, with you talking about your mentor saying that you would rather be in first class and explain like how you got there than kind of take whatever journey to get there, or how you paraphrase it. Can you repeat what he said again about the first class?
So pretty much, his analogy was, he's a guy, and it's no right or wrong for him or the way he did it, because he's very like, this is just his way, where he wasn't worried necessarily about how he got there. It was just about, oh, I'm here. Like, he has different businesses and stuff like that, but the business that got him there is not the sexy business, and he's more like, well, I'd rather do that, and then once I'm there, I'll go start the sexy businesses that I really ultimately want to start. Where versus I'm more of this person where it's like, I'll do the unsexy stuff for a certain amount of time, but I'm only going to do it enough to where I can eat. And so I can really focus on what I know is what I want to be my main thing. And he's the total opposite. Well, he'll do the unsexy thing until it stops making him money. And then it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Kind of like the Gary Vee model. Gary Vee is always like, do it, earlier too, do what you, I feel like when you do what you really love to do, or you do what like what you're really passionate about, or what you are enthused about, it's not. And when you don't worry about the money, like they say, you always make more money or the most money, when it's not necessarily about the money. It's really about, this is what I love to do. This is what I want.
It's about the impact. It's about the impact.
Yeah,
and if you can have the impact, you can definitely do it. And one thing that I was watching this video the other day, and he was talking about having like a first class version of self, right? And he equated the first class version of self of the story of a man that wanted to travel to the Bahamas. And he would tell his mentor, who was like a big spiritual leader, that he at first he didn't know how he was going to get to the Bahamas. And his mentor is always telling him, like, you have to visualize how you're going to get to the Bahamas, visualize you being in the Bahamas, you traveling there, etc. And the one time he's like, I'm traveling to the Bahamas, but it's in coach, it's in third class or whatever. And he didn't want to hear anything about it. He was like, because based on his frequency and what he's at, he's like, I don't want to hear you traveling about you traveling anything other than first class. And when I say that, I just say that, whether it be doing it the sexy way or the unsexy way, as long as you can marry the thought that you have of how you want to accomplish it, because no one can ever accomplish the things that we can accomplish, regardless, because we all have our own unique features. We're all going to do it differently. And then you marry that with the emotion of what you think it would be like accomplishing it the way that you're trying it. It's going to allow you to get closer, or at least come across those opportunities of, how you can get to have that experience. Because there's been so many times, I'm sure it's happened to you, where we've been like, oh, man, I wonder how this thing would happen. And then all of a sudden, like, something happens where we have to, or like we're hesitating on something, and something happens where we're forced to take action on something that we've been hesitating on for a long time. We've been stalling on it. We've been like, but now the circumstances come up where it's like, because we put that into the world, now we have to kind of hurriedly find about like how we're going to fix that solution. So
no, it makes sense. No, it definitely does. I feel like I'm in that situation now. It's like before I got on the call. And I think sometimes when you're pushed against the wall, those situations are what really grow you, because a lot of times you're holding yourself back. You're holding yourself back, and you know what needs to be done, but you need that extra push in order to get it done. But Armand, so how did you get into going from your engineering, and then now we're the VP here, we're doing this over here. So like, how did you get out of engineering and now into marketing, into manifestation, and into everything that you're doing now?
So I'll tell everyone, it all started with a book. Like, and that's the first thing I'll tell you. Like, I'll tell anyone, like, the truth be told, like, a singular book could change your life, but a series of books will change like your legacy. Like, you know what I mean? Like a series of, like, no funny shit, because I remember I had this conversation with my cousin last night. Actually, I was in the car with her. We were hanging out, we're talking, and she was like, "You ever heard of Napoleon Hill?" I'm like, "You realize that, like, in 2015, you gave me Outwitting the Devil, And I finished that book in 3 days because you needed it back. Like you needed it back. And not only did I finish it in 3 days, like, because it was during a Christmas break, when I got back to college, I bought a copy at the bookstore.
Hold on, go wait for people that don't know. Outwitting the Devil is super long. It's a big fat book. So you can just see me 3 days to finish a book like that. And it's a powerful book. So you should definitely check it out. It's one of Napoleon Hill's best piece of work. It's him talking, pretty much having a conversation with the devil, what he would say as the devil. Your inner thoughts, you really essentially, but
and the answers are so profound. You're literally like, and excuse my profanity, but energy is energy. Who the fuck was he talking to? Who the fuck was he talking to? Like, it's like he gave answers that you're like, damn. Like,
yeah, it's relative. It was written years ago, but it's like so relative to today. But you can keep going. I just wanted to make them know, for you to finish something in 3 days, just to put on house. Yeah, this guy's like out of this world. Numbers, smart, like God. Oh, okay. It's at least minimum 500 pages, if not more. No kidding. So, but yes, you read the book in 3 days, and then what happened?
So from there, I'm attending school at Penn State Harrisburg. Is getting ready to, you know, at the end of the year, everyone starts to have a reflection, but I have a double reflection because my birthday's in December, December 15th. So as you get towards the end of the year, you're like, man, it's my birthday, the Christmas, New Year. Did I even hit my goals? You're really like, fuck, like it's all hitting me. So, you know, I knew that my college career was coming, you know, close to an end. But like, as much as I was doing well in engineering, I had passions in other things. Like I was part of a fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, which comes full circle because my business name is Sigma Solution Marketing Consulting Services, which is like a twofold or maybe even threefold when you think about the relevance, because, you know, in math, Sigma means the sum of all. You know what I mean? And when I think about like what I want to be and what Sigma Solution is going to be for small businesses and entrepreneurs, is going to be the sum of all of their marketing, you know, problems. You know what I mean? Any solution that they need to fix a marketing tech related problem, I'll be able to help them with that. And we'll have agents that can help them with that. But it all started from doing, you know, parties with my friends and hosting parties. We hosted house parties, which we would charge $1. There would be nights where we would make $100, a couple $100 off a house party. Mind you, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit in some shape or fashion, to the point where like when I moved to my off-campus housing, I got cool with the management office. I got cool with the management office to get them to allow me to be an RA like 2 years in. So I got to be an RA. So essentially, after 2 years, I got to live there for free. Now, and for the first year, I was the only RA. After that, they wanted to hire 2 more, and that meant one of the RAs would have had to have roommates. Right. Because I was in my fraternity, I'm like, we might as well let us have a house. Like, I mean, I got the management office to be like, oh, okay. So first thing I did was told my fraternity brothers to say that they want to get a townhouse. So they went into the office, they secured the townhouse. Then I tell the management office, I'm like, wow, I didn't know my fraternity brothers got a house. You know, rather than me being a roommate for some random people and taking up room in one of the buildings, right? You might as well just have me off camp, you know, over there. It's literally walking distance, so I'll just always be able to come and, you know, boom, finesse that way. I finessed that because the year before, one of my homies, she had a townhouse, and we used her house for for parties. So like we used her house, and we ended up renting event spaces like to do parties. The one party that really let me know that like this marketing thing and digital marketing is for real was when we had a 2-floor 2 DJ party that brought people out from over 15 states. We had over 400 people buy tickets. We had over, of the 400 tickets, 300 of them were pre-sold, like, and then there was 100 plus at the door.
Nice.
So like, you know what I mean? We profited over $4,000 on the party.
But this wasn't the dollar. This wasn't the dollar parties.
No. This wasn't a dollar party. This was, we was giving tickets away for like 10, 15. And we was telling people like, if you come to the door, like I guarantee you it'll be like 20, $50, $100 at the door.
Okay.
And like they wasn't understanding what we was trying to do. But listen to me. Listen, this is how I promoted it. I promoted it by, so because I'm in my fraternity, I have my fraternity members and I have my friends.
Right.
I merged the two to combine funds to be able to throw parties and to like use different spaces and to like legalize it in a sense. And then from there, we would pretty much be able to like just use whichever spot, like, you know what I mean? So it really worked out well. We had a team, we had security. We really never had any real issues. There was like, minor fights and things like that. But like only one, and we were able to minimize that without any police involvement, anything like. We were actually the first people on campus to start using event spaces, the first people to start doing townhouse parties, the first fraternity to be, to have townhouses. So it's like we was doing all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, I know a little bit about marketing. I know a little about leadership. I think that like this could really help businesses. Like this college town, I'm like, yo, this college town is growing. They're not even advertising to the college students. Like that's where my mindset was at first. Like I could help the people in there.
What year was this?
This was 2016.
Okay, so this was
2016.
This was like, well, the internet was around. People were starting to get online, but this was still kind of that fairly
fairly early. And some of the first people, like, and it's crazy because right after I read the book, that's when I started getting information about like, things I could do. And,
after you read the Outwitting the Devil book, or was this another book that you read?
I read Outwitting the Devil, and the next book I picked up after that was 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. So I read both of those back to back, and those kind of like let me feel like, okay, maybe I should do something entrepreneurial. And I came across some ad about doing marketing, and I was like, I mean, I've been posting on social media for years from all these organizations in college, from my fraternity, to get people to come out to the parties.
Right.
We did a manhunt night that brought out like 60 people playing manhunt on the campus. I'm like, we was getting shit jumping. So I was like, that just gave me the confidence to feel like it could translate to anything. Right. And that's what I would tell anyone. Like I'm not even telling the story to tell about myself. I want to tell people that, yo, whatever experience you have, draw from it. You could be like, I hated that job, I hated that experience. Like, people think I finished college. Like, I didn't get my degree in electrical engineering.
I assume, because at first I was going to ask, but I was like, oh, probably did.
I know I don't have my degree. Like, I don't have my degree. So that's the thing. Like, as I got close to my college career ending, like, I knew that I had one more semester to pay for, but I couldn't use any more loans. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start this business rather than, because I was working at the airport at the time, which was cool because I could get free flights. My mom could fly wherever she wanted on vacation for free. She went to Egypt and St. Martin for free on my dime, which was great to be able to do that for her. But I'm like, they pay me $10 an hour. Like, I can't, what $10 an hour, nigga, what? Like, I'm not making any bread. Like, so I was really like trying to, switch my situation up. Like, I didn't really have a good relationship with my advisors from college. So, that kind of, set me back. And like, I'm doing all these things on campus, trying to prove a name for myself. And, but like the people that were supposed to help me in terms of my major didn't necessarily help me. So I was like, let me get into this business thing. I found some online, courses and things like that I literally maxed out a credit card to get these courses. I used my refund money to get a course. I did all these things because I'm like, I know that if I don't have this money by next year, I'm fucked. Like, you know what I mean? So I like really started going into like, how can I get into business? And at this point, I'm 21. I mean, so I started college at 17. Okay. And I was, I went and I was 21, and I was like, yo, let me just learn as much as I can. I was learning things that like were online that were more engaging than the stuff that I was learning in class.
Right.
But now I'm seeing some of those things come into play now. And it's like, again, like I said, everything is connected. Like I tried to reach out to businesses in early 2017 in Pennsylvania. But being a 21, 22-year-old, I really didn't feel like they was listening to me. They was hearing me. I'm like, are they hearing me when I'm trying to pitch these business owners, and sometimes being in a different community with people that don't necessarily look like you, like people that don't look like you, if they know you can get the job done, they'll still pay you, but that doesn't mean that they're going to appreciate you the same way. And if
Right.
people
No,
don't
that's true.
appreciate you and you're already going through a limiting belief of not appreciating yourself, it's going to give you some mental setbacks in terms of how your entrepreneurial career is going to go.
Right.
But I always know that, when I need to learn new things, whether it be through books or courses. So when my first couple of sales appointments didn't work out, I decided to take a direct marketing position, which is doing door-to-door sales for Verizon Fios. That's where I really learned a lot of my, sales and marketing skills. That's where I learned how to be in the trenches with building personal relationships and feeling like I could talk to anyone and speak confidently and articulately. I feel like I could sell anyone anything because I was able to sell people on Verizon Fios with them. They woke up, they didn't know they was going to get Verizon Fios that day. They had no thought of, I'm going to get Verizon Fios today. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had no thought of like my cable, my internet is bad. Like they're just
No,
like,
what year was this? Because you were my competition. I was actually working for Xfinity. Probably it sounded like I did door-to-door sales for Xfinity. It was, and it's funny because I tell people all the time, that was, if I went back to working, I would probably do door-to-door sales. That was one of the jobs I made the most money, and it was just you got all these perks.
what was the company? What was the company called?
Oh, Xfinity. It's a
No.
internet.
Do you know if they had like were they contracting you guys the sales team out by like another team,
Oh, no.
or it
I
was
worked directly for Xfinity, Comcast.
That's
Well,
dope.
it was
That's
maybe
dope.
Comcast that you heard, but it was Xfinity. I worked directly for them. So they had their own internal door-to-door sales team, but they probably outsourced as well. But
Definitely.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's funny. That was one of the jobs or job that really changed the trajectory and a lot of what I do and what I still say to this day about just being able to be in the
100%.
trenches and be out there. But it seems like going back to just the your book and everything that you wrote, and you've been able to do exactly what you said, use the skills that you have and turn those skills into ways that you're actually able to make an income. So
Yes.
how do I go about finding the skills? Because a lot of times we have these different things or what we're good at, but how do I know, like, hey, this is probably something I should look more into?
So I always talk about like one of the things that I am key on ever since I learned about it is mind mapping. And mind mapping is pretty much just getting all of your ideas out of your head on paper so you can clearly see them and really just be able to see what really works.
Right.
So if you were to think about it, like, so let's say we were to get visual real quick and we were to draw a circle in the middle of a page. In the middle of the page, we're going to draw the circle. In the circle, we're going to put my passions / skills, right? Then around that, just write all the things that you're good at. When I was in, from the time I was 5 all the way up till I was 20, I played baseball. Then if I were to go from when I was 7 all the way up to when I was 18, I did poetry. From when I was 10 to 18, I did short stories. And from when I was 4, I would always just try to make little trinkets around the house and try to like invent something. And like just when I was in 2nd grade, I got the highest score in my 2nd grade, class for the standardized science test. So like just little things like that, you're just drawing from your experiences and you're like, what felt good? What, was I passionate about? What was I enthusiastic about? And like from those things, you have all of those things in their own individual bubble. And from there, the next spoke that you're going to do is like, okay, what could be like what is an existing side hustle that is around this particular thing? You know what I mean? The only one I will tell you one thing, everyone, if you ever feel like you're going through like an emotional period, emotional distress, get either a cat or a dog. Get a pet. I kid you not, because I have a cat and I never thought I was going to like cats, but I became a huge cat person.
What?
And like, yeah, I'm a huge cat person. I am literally a cat dad. My cat son, his name is Milo. It's just like, but I say that to say like, just whatever you could find passion and joy in, use that for a possible skill. You know what I mean?
What's the
And you'll
example? Give me
find
an
a
example of
skill.
one of yours. Like, what's it like a real life example? Like, cause again, I'm like, it's like, oh, I'm good at poetry, so maybe I should think about becoming a poet as a side hustle. Like, is there a medium? Like, give me a real time example.
Okay, so for example, like with poetry or writing, like I'm very into those things. So the first step that I took was logically just creating an ebook. I had some original, some limiting beliefs behind whether I could do that or not, but I broke the limiting belief by writing an ebook. Shortly, and here's how the thing, how crazy it works. Shortly after I wrote the ebook, I got connected with the book. Well, I started a book club with my friends, right? We just did a book club for like a couple months. After that couple months, I was on Facebook and someone approached me about being the co-moderator of a book club that had about like 1,000 people in. I was like, oh
Nice.
shit. I was like, okay, sure, why not? Then about 6 months into that, on January to start the year, my book was read as the book of the month. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know what I mean? Just little things like that. And like, even with that, like I was connected with people that wrote books in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. I personally wrote my book in 30 days, but I've come across people that wrote their book in 3 months, 6 months, and just to see them, how they went across their process, and not even just having an ebook, having a physical book lets me know that if I want to do a physical book, I have people that I can connect to. So and I say that, I also say like, okay, so that was one example. For if anyone ever played a sport and they're good, the best example I can say, if anyone ever played a sport, you should think about being in a partnership in entrepreneurship, whatever that partnership could look like, because you already have the understanding of what teamwork is like. And
Right.
if you can be in a teamwork with someone that has a different skill set than you, that complements you, you're going to get so much further than trying to do it by yourself.
Right.
Prior to 2021 and 2020, I tried to do a lot of things by myself, or solo, or like counting on someone without like really having those critical conversations with them. So like that is just something that I would say, like, I think that we all can just draw from our experiences and say, you know what, anything that I've liked, enjoyed, like you like cooking, like Chef Mom virtually, shout her out. That's literally her name on Instagram. Check it out. She makes some really good cakes and everything like that. Just she cooks everything really. But like she had a passion for cooking. She turned her passion for cooking, for just putting videos online. Her putting videos online got people to order. Her getting people to order and believe in her concept has her, soon getting a commercial kitchen. So the crazy thing about it is just in terms of how we are as manifestors and human beings, we're born to be creators. The second we create, everything unrolls and unravels as it should. But the more we keep it stagnant within us, it actually stifles our growth. So whether we feel like we're, imposter syndrome, or we're worthy of it or not, I'm not worthy to start a side hustle. What do you mean you're not worthy? Not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. You're saying not everyone's cut out to have their passions pay them? That doesn't make sense,
So you're
because,
not saying be a full-time entrepreneur. You're saying I can still have my job and I'm just doing things that I'm good at, on, like you said, on the side. Is there like a minimum, like, oh, you got too
100%.
many side hustles? You come sometimes you hear that.
No. So I'll give two examples. So one thing I would say is, in my book, I talk about how, like, at the end of the day, like, regardless of whether it's side hustles, your business, your 9 to 5, anything like that, your the level of income that you're paid is never, it doesn't ever exceed the amount of value that you provide to the marketplace.
Hmm.
So like, you know what I mean? Like that's why some janitors could get paid 50,000, but maybe a janitor that's working for a millionaire could get paid 100,000.
Right.
That's why a heart surgeon, his salary off rip is going to be higher than the guy that works at the post office.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just saying, like, and I say that to say that, like ultimately, like, I bring me back in, reel me back in. I went on a little train of thought, so reel me back in real quick.
Ultimately,
Like,
the value you bring to the marketplace is
yeah.
what
So it just in terms of like just being, it's just in terms of being like passionate about things. It's just like, as long as we can, like we can have as many passions as we want. Like the world tries to tell us, society tries to tell us, oh, you should stick to one thing. you should, they try to say the jack of all trades is a master of none, right?
Right.
But the rest of the saying is the jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes still better than a master of one.
Huh. They left that part off.
They leave that part out, but purposely they leave that part out because it's like, man, like, so imagine if you do have 10 skills paying you $1,000 a month. That's a very bare minimum to ask for. And once you build the confidence to make $1,000 a month in one area, you can use that to build the confidence and build a system to make $1,000 a month in another area. Right. So then just by doing that, it's like now you have 10 streams paying you $1,000 a month rather than working your ass off to have one try to pay you 10. You know what I mean? And then as you get these, these different streams, like then you can kind of outsource and things like that. But it's like, even with working a job, it's like, okay, you should still try to work a job that gives you some type of passion and incites some type of enthusiasm with you. Because when you come home, if you're not juiced up to get ready to work on your next thing, all you're gonna do is sit down, you're gonna watch Netflix, you're gonna scroll on your phone, and the next thing you know, you're gonna look up, you're gonna be like, fuck, it's 8 o'clock, I still haven't eaten yet, let me eat real quick. And then you shower, and then you're like, dang, the whole time is wasted, and you feel like you're wasting your time, and you go through a perpetual cycle of wasting your time. And it's like, it's funny because when we're talking about the emotional vibrations and emotional vibration investment, one of them was boredom. And when we think about it, what do most people do when they're bored? They scroll on their phone, right? But guess what? It's been scientifically proven when we scroll on our phone, that releases a dopamine, to our brain, where we get a quick fix of excitement, of etc. But guess what? That also gives us signs of unworthiness, of unconfidence, because it's like, man, I should be making $1 million already. I should be making 100,000 like this person that's in my industry. Yeah. Oh, my person that graduated with me, they're doing this. Like, oh, I felt like I was smarter than them and they're doing this better. Right. Like, this person's already getting married and me and my girl are still trying to work on these things. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, what's going on? We can't compare ourselves to those things. And what the sad thing that happens is the second we put our phones down, that dopamine kick goes away. And guess what happens? We go back to that cycle of boredom. So it's like, that's why passion is so important. That's why passion is more important than happiness. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So as long as we can, channel the passion from our job. And the cool thing about it is, I guarantee you, it's like, you could still have your job, but the second you start to make money through your passions and that money surpasses your job, if it gives you the freedom and the security, you won't care about that job anymore.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, exactly. I find it very hard to believe that in the life structure of Jha Allen or Armand Cheeks, we were born to be born in this town, work at this firm for like that wasn't written in the plan. Right. What was written in the plan though was that, hey, you're gonna have these talents, you're gonna have these passions, you're gonna have these thoughts, these ideas, these optimisms, and you have to fully go after it.
Right. No, and I definitely agree. I agree. I'm gonna bring it to a close in a bit, but I do want to ask you one really important thing. And it's really for anybody that's listening that might be in that situation where you were in, where they're trying to make that hard decision on what's the next move, channeling my skill sets, working this job, and just kind of going through that whole like almost mundane routine. What would be a word of encouragement or advice you would give that person?
Man, the first thing I would say is just create a routine that charges you up. You can don't fall victim to the routine, create your routine. Like, we actually, one of the most powerful things that we have is free will and free dominion on our own time and what we want to do. Like, the most detrimental part of working the 9 to 5 is that they control so much of your time every part of the week, where like when you're there, you're thinking about being there, or you're thinking about not being there, right? And when you're not there, you're thinking about, man, I only have a certain amount of hours till I'm there. So it's perpetually always on your mind. So rather than getting in that thought cycle, you should get in the thought cycle of, okay, how can I, unleash my passions, and how can I take at least a step daily towards those things? And how can I invest in a slice of happiness? How can I invest in a slice of, appreciation and just all of these higher frequencies? And from there, I think we'll really be able to tap into to who we truly are. And I think, like, you know, everything does come full circle in terms of like marketing, because even when it came to me being in the fraternity and when I was, you know, a chapter president or vice president, or and having to market the fraternity to people and have people want to join and be part of the fraternity, it's like it all starts with the marketability of self. And the marketability of self, you know, starts with being able to, you know your worth and know how to network with people and know the value that you give, and always be coming from a place of, okay, if these are the skill sets that I think I have, how can I provide more value with them? You know what I mean? How can I always continue to learn so that I'm providing more value in the skill set than anyone else? And I think that as the more we can just continue to be learners. And it's funny, like, we came on this thinking that we was going to talk about marketing, but like, I want to let you know something. I'll tie marketing and manifestation in to say that, like, if we want to be a good marketer, think about it in terms of manifestation. You know what I mean? The product that you have, you want to manifest X amount of people buying it, right? But if you want to manifest X amount of people buying it, guess what? Probably 10, 20, 30X people might have to see it, right? Okay, so if I want to make 100 sales on my course, that's $57. I probably got to have at least 10,000 people see it. Like minimum 1,000 people see it. At the very bare minimum, have 1,000 people see that offer. But I want to at least market it to 10,000 people. But when I'm marketing it to 10,000 people, going back to the point about conversation, is what's the marketing message that what's the conversation that my marketing message is giving out? Am I providing news or ideas? And is the news that I'm providing about my business and about my product resonating at a frequency that makes them say that I need to have this product because it solves my problem? You know what I mean? Is the idea that I'm presenting about my problem, my product, solving the problem that they have? You know what I mean? And when we think about it from that perspective, it's like, if I'm not even thinking about the number of people that I'm trying to sell, I'm just thinking about how can I market like the solution to to XYZ problem to as many people as possible. By default, you're gonna hit your marketing number. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It may take you a while to get in front of that 10,000 or whatever number, but like, as long as you stay true to the numbers. Like, one thing that I learned about door to door, and I'm sure you'll say the same, is it's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
Sales and everything is just a number game. I know that if I know the system that I did door to door is still in my brain. I know that if I do 3 laps on a territory and I see 60 houses, I'm probably gonna talk to about 30 people. I'll present to 5 of them, and guess what? I'll close 2 to 3. And what's the system for your business? You know what I mean? How many people do you have to speak to a day? How many people do you got to get your products out to? In terms of Jha and what she's helping everyone with, how many pieces of content do you got to put out to really have your marketing message resonate? It's like, there's so much stuff that we have to do. But if we look at it from a perspective of from manifestation, like clients and Jha, I know you've probably had the same thing, where like clients want you to help them with their marketing, but they still have the limiting belief of, will the marketing work?
Right.
They have the limiting belief of, oh, if I spend the money on this, like, will I see it back in XYZ time?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what if I spend it and they don't come? It's like, well, if you're starting from this the mental framework of what if it doesn't work, guess what? You're always going to find a reason why it don't work. Right. And you're always going to feel disgruntled and et cetera, et cetera. So just thinking about just how, as individuals for our business, we can be better marketers from a place of manifestation. We should always be looking that, like, we knowing that our product can have a great impact on people. And if we know that our product can have a great impact on people, then we can't hesitate to sell it and market it at its full capacity.
No, for sure. For sure. Definitely.
And that's it, man. Where's the ball? Just
drop, mic drop. But no, Armand, where can we find you, connect with you, and get more information about you and your services?
Perfect. So yeah, so definitely everyone can check me out on Armand the Manifestor for Instagram. You can also go on Sigma Solution Marketing on Instagram. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, those are all the same. And then my website is sigmasolutionmarketing.com. What I will say is I just want to have a conversation with y'all. Pop up in the comments, hit me up in the DM. Let's have a genuine conversation. Let's talk. Like I said, a lot of people, they always want to hop into getting the marketing services, but guess what? Most people haven't even paid for like high level marketing and don't even have a marketing strategy, to the point where like you're coming in asking me to ask like you realize that before you go to a doctor and they do operation, they have like the pre-op, right? Like, I mean, like there's so much pre-op work that has to be done with people before you can, really touch them as a marketer. It's like they really need to understand that. I mean, I look at marketing and sales, and maybe even networking as like the auto mechanic or a doctor's office of your business. You know what I mean? Like, so.
No, definitely. It's funny. I was talking to someone about that today, as well, where it's like marketing, and you have to be talking to the right business owner to a certain extent when you start talking about high level marketing or even higher ticket marketing than what some people might be used to when you're talking about 1,000 or more, even really 500 or more. People don't understand. I think we touched on that a little bit before we start recording. They don't understand that you have to understand the value of marketing and what you need. Because like you touched on, it's so many aspects and different things that go into marketing. You might come asking me for this, but we talk and you really need this. So
that's a fact. And real quick, I mean, I know that we said we was gonna keep it short, but I just want to drop a couple marketing things for them real quick. So just in terms of the value piece, and like creating your offers for whether it be your product or your service. The offer that you create for your product or service, and because the offer, I want to let you know, is like a combination of everything that's included when someone buys. So when we think about, let's think about McDonald's, or not even McDonald's. Let's think about KFC, right? I don't even go there, but let's think about KFC, because KFC, they'll have the $5 bundle. With the $5 bundle, you could get the wedges, the chicken tenders, famous bowl, and a biscuit and a drink, right?
Right.
Those 5 things for $5. You get smaller portion sizes, but you get 5 of them, right? Well, guess what? Individually, the chicken tenders are probably like $2. Individually, the fries are like $1. Individually, the drink is $1.20. Individually, a biscuit's 99 cents. Individually, the famous bowl is probably like $3. So when we think about like the value that they put in the famous bowl, it's like, of course I would buy this for $5 because it has so much value to it. So we have to do the exact same thing for our business. It's like, let's say you could charge any single price for your products or services as long as you back it up with 10 times more value. So let's say you want to charge a $500 product. Well, how can you build your value offer to equate to being $5,000 or more? And when we think about the way business works is, and why we should always feel worthy in our business, is that the way the market works is we create the perceived value by creating our prices, and it's up to the market to confirm or deny whether that perception of our price and value makes sense, right? So if we're saying that, then it's like, okay, cool. If I want to sell a $500 product and I'm putting all these things in the offer, I just have to make sure that attached to me writing what it is, I'm breaking down, okay, this has a $70 value. This has a $99 value. This has a $500 value by itself. This has a $1,000 value and it's included in this package. Like, you know what I mean? So we almost have to overbuild on value in terms of what we know the transformation they'll receive. So that way we know our customer will always be satisfied. Going back to my brother, Chris Bryant, you always got to have the customer satisfied.
Exactly. No, definitely. That's Chris. I think it's episode 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, run that back.
Yeah, 5-star customer experience with Chris Bryant. Yeah, I think it's episode like 2 or 3. No, that's good. That's good. And I agree. But no, if you got anything else for you want to leave us with any more gems? You're full of gems today, so I definitely want to stop the fire. Put the fire out from going. Any off the top gems that you want to leave before we close things up?
Yeah, so when I often think about my business and how my business has kind of like evolved over the last couple of years, and one of the things I put in the book is that like we can never be failures as long as we don't quit, right? So as our business, we always have to learn how to pivot. We always have to learn how to pivot and pivot in a direction that can be beneficial towards our growth. You know, I'm a huge chess player. And one thing that I say is like everything in life is a chess move. You know what I mean? So and if you think about it like that, it's like if you could only make 3 steps, right? Let's say like if this is Squid Games, right? And the glass thing, right? If you could only move 1 step forward, wouldn't you move to the step that most best benefits you?
Facts.
And you would take your time making that decision.
Yeah.
So I say that to say that like as we go about like marketing our business, like we're in a time where everyone wants to focus on paid advertising, and paid advertising definitely has a benefit to people if you look at it also as an investment. But if you're thinking about like where we should put our money and how we should be investing as marketers, we should be maximizing that organic marketing, that organic side before we try to tap into the paid, because by default, what organic means that it's going to provide a higher return. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're like, you can do a higher return over a longer period of time or a quicker return over a short period of time. You know what I mean? Like a spike.
With the organic, as far as the content, pushing out
Yeah.
there.
So like, yeah, literally content in terms of everything, like in terms of a blog, in terms of informational video, in terms of a
Exactly.
marketing campaign, in terms of you know what I mean? Because truthfully, when people post on social media, and especially like when we think about Instagram, which a lot of businesses using Instagram and even business using Facebook, like I'll be honest, most people like businesses don't have like a true campaign
Nah.
strategy. You know what I mean? They think about it as like I'm posting bit by bit. Like I had an event today. These pictures from the event probably would look good.
Right.
It's not thinking about like how are these pictures and these posts and this content taking them through a journey that's eventually going to lead them to being a customer. And
Exactly.
if you and as a business owner, if they're putting their content out from that perspective, of course you would do organic before you did paid, because you would want to make sure you're testing everything to its fully capacity for free before you get into paid to see if it does or does not work.
Right.
Because by the time you get to a paid ad is not the time to think about, is this content going to hit or not?
Right.
Like at that point, it's like, it's like the time to step in to a hot shower is not after the hot water is already like, fucking running on you, right?
Right.
I mean, like, so it's just understanding that, like, I want people to really maximize and just, I appreciate you for everything that you're doing and the focus that you're taking your business on. And even like, just a segue to tie it in, like with the conversation that you have with your mentor, it's like, both of you are right in a sense. Both of you are right in a sense of like, you can definitely have the co-working space, but having the co-working space is like, they're still going to need someone to help them with their content. And if you're able to create content at scale and teach people from your team how to create content at scale for other people, then it's like you're removed from the situation of creating content. You perpetually have content flowing for you, but now anyone that comes into your your co-working space, anyone that comes to your networking events, you could, you have someone that's providing content for them. Like imagine getting to the point, and this may be like, I had this call with Preston today. I'm like, yo, I just want to let people know that like, whenever I have conversations with people, like, and it seems like they give me an idea or they say something, and I'm like saying it, like magnifying it. It's like, it's not that I'm trying to just be like overwhelming, but I'm just trying to say like, I support your idea and it probably could be really big as long as we execute upon it. So
Right.
like, I say that to say like, imagine having your co-working space and you have and you have like networking events, and let's say 50 plus people come to the networking event, but each person has someone that's part of their content team. So now technically you have 100 people in the networking space, people that are from the business networking, but then people that are acting on behalf of their content team, networking with other people in the space.
Right.
It's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's from the skill set of you being able to create a system for how the content would be created in an event and things like that. So it's like, maybe you don't want the traditional agency model, because the traditional agency model is is becoming antiquated because everyone is used to it and has had some type of either positive or negative experience from it, that they're like, I don't know if I need the value for it. But like working again, the crazy part about having all of our skill sets and passions and things like that is that it's not like it's not linear, but they all can be connected.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
No,
can
fact.
use a skill set of one thing to connect in another thing, which is why, like, whenever I talk about entrepreneurship, I always talk about it from the frame and the perspective of sports, because for 15 years of my life, I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player.
Right.
So, like, you know what I mean? Like,
So it all exactly like you said. It's a full circle. It's a full circle.
100%.
Done a lot of different
100%.
things, man. Been here a few times, right?
So check this out. I want you to do this experiment, and I want everyone that may be watching this, maybe doing it later, to do this as well. So I was watching this video, and the guy was talking about a way to, an influencer recommended to beat imposter syndrome. So it's like everyone at some point goes through quote unquote imposter syndrome, but the best way for us as individuals to conquer imposter syndrome would be to write down every accomplishment that we've ever had, from whether it be small, big, from when we, won a trophy, when we won a medal, when we, got our first client, from when we did anything, right? Anything that we perceive as a success, as if we're announcing someone on stage to give a speech. You know what I mean? So like, Jha Allen has a podcast, she's hosted 2 of the biggest networking events in Houston. She goes to every networking conference across the country. She's a pioneer in creating content. She creates 130 pieces of content a month. She, has all these things. Like you go through the list, and after going through the list, you're like, fuck, like I'm really that person. Like, you know what I mean? Like I really don't have done a lot. And I've had to have had so many successes for me to even get to like where we are today, that it doesn't even matter about so the last thing I'll wrap up with, because I would love for people to purchase my book, but I'm not a huge salesy person, because I did direct sales. Like I know sales is all about relationships. So I know that if I could build a relationship with someone, I could sell them at any given moment. So I'm never pressed on like, please buy my stuff today. It's like, just talk to me. We'll talk, and you'll like it. We'll want to buy more. But one thing I talk about in the book was like, if we were to equate each idea in our mind as being a cash cow idea, right? Then like, what would that make our mind? It would make our mind a farm, right? So on the farm of our mind, we have plenty of thoughts and plenty of animals that come in our mind. So we have the ducks of doubt, we have the foxes of failure, we have the chickens of chance, we have the eggs of experience, the colts of courage, we have the sheep of success, we have the owls of optimism. We have all these thoughts and animals on the farm of our mind, and we also have the cash cows. Now, when we're thinking about which cash cow we want to take to the market, which skill set, which passion we want to, put out into the world, it's thinking like, okay, like if I were to be on a farm and I were to get charged at by a raging bull, thing is 6 foot, like 289 pounds charging at me. If I were to get charged at by a bull, it probably would change my perception of the cow as an animal, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
So I say that to say, like, why pick your hardest skill? Why pick the thing that's the most difficult, that you see everyone else doing, everyone else trying to make money off of this, that, and the third? Pick the cash cow that you can nurture, the one that you're really passionate about, the one that you want to take your time with, the one that you're really going to, take it. Because if every cash cow is at an equal weight, could bring in the same monetary gain, again, why go to the bull over the calf?
Right.
So then, I just say that to say that, it's going to take a lot of, a fox of failure. We often have thoughts of being a failure and how we can do things. A failure could easily, try to take away one of our successes, right?
Right.
Like it could easily, a fox could eat a sheep on a farm any day of the week, right?
Right.
But very rarely is a fox gonna eat 1,000 sheep, 100 sheep, 200 sheep. And I
Right.
say that to say we've had 100, 200, 1,000, maybe even 10,000 successes in our life to get to where we are today, to be living and breathing today. We've had to succeed day after obstacle, learn thing after thing, and it hasn't beaten us. Like no one fox, no one failure is going to mitigate all of our successes.
Right.
It's impossible. I don't believe in cancel culture like that. You know what I mean? And on top of that, it's like it's going to take multiple foxes to take down a cash cow.
Right. No, for sure. How
Like
many people have been
a
canceled
fox,
and been back?
a fox is not going to take down a cow by itself.
Right.
A fox damn sure not going to take down a bull by itself.
No, facts.
So, and that was just an analogy that I put in the book to try to equate it. Like, I just want people to visualize like the things that go on in our mind. And I tell people all the time that farm in the mind of analogy is 100% me. That was my creativeness and what I thought of. And I just hope it resonates with someone to understand that like every day, like we've had so many successes and so many things that we want to do and we want to accomplish. And we just have to really shift into our purpose.
No, facts. Facts. I agree. Facts. But no, man, thank you so much. This has been jammed with nothing but gems. So I really appreciate the energy, appreciate the love, and appreciate you being on. This was good. Really good.
Hey, we're here. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to see like how Jha's next 20, 30, 50 podcasts go, because I know that by the time we get to like 112, I'm gonna be like, yo, Jha, you gotta let me back on. I got some new game. And we're not even talking just we're gonna break it down. We're gonna do 10 minutes manifestation, 10 minutes marketing, and we're gonna go in on it and we're gonna give actual
Armand got multiple skill sets. So we gotta break his down in the whole program. Okay, 10 on this, 10 minutes on this. Like you said, we're gonna have a program next time just
right.
Like break it up.
We do it, but I appreciate you. I definitely want to be back. I want to say again, I always gotta give people their flowers. I appreciate Jha for everything that she's been doing for the entrepreneur community that we've been building on Instagram. For every time she shows up on the live, for pulling up, giving event information about content creation. And I just appreciate her for showing up on her live. You know what I mean? I was watching this video. Snoop Dogg was like giving a speech. I want to thank me for me. Well, hey, I want to thank Jha for being Jha. For everything that you're doing and for how you're going to continue to grow this platform. 2022 is going to be an amazing year for every entrepreneur that declares it, that wants it, that's ready to step into that season. But guess what? Before we get into 2022, we got to do the growth work today. We got what, 30 something plus more days to really get our mind right, to learn the lessons that we needed to learn, like to really do some deep reflecting on everything that happened in the 11 months prior. But I guarantee you guys, we're gonna win. The next time I see you guys, you won't even know. You won't even recognize, but I guarantee you some amazing things are happening for everyone. That's what I declare. I'm not even speaking anything less than abundance and prosperity for everyone. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Share this with your friend. Watch it as many times as you need to. Break it down, flip it up, make it into a reels, do whatever you need to do because Jha is a master of content. So if you consume Jha's content and you're not recreating it to have it inspire you to create content, you're not really fully tapping into what Jha's message is. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all be good, man. I'm gonna see everyone in 2022.
Already. Appreciate that for sure. We out.